Greetings, loyal subjects of the Imperium of Man. I am Librarian Elias of the Adeptus Astartes. I am creating a series of recordings with the intent of educating the general populace of the dangers of the galaxy. All of this information comes from the Lexicanum, provided to me by the Adeptus Mechanicus. I will be reading verbatim from their archives. This recording will cover one of the few allies the Imperium has, a Space Marine chapter known as the Black Templars. The Black Templars are a second founding chapter derived from the Imperial Fists. Since its founding, the Black Templars have campaigned on a never-ending crusade. The history of the Black Templars begins with its first champion. During Horus's attack on the Imperial Palace, the Imperial Fists Primarch, Rogel Dorn, chose his first captain, Sigismund, as the Emperor's champion, the first of a lineage of elite warriors of the Black Templars that usually seek out the enemy's champions and challenge them to single combat. Sigismund was given the best armor and weapon and swore a holy duty to challenge the champions of chaos, and triumphed over all he met in battle. During the aftermath of the Horus heresy, Rabute Guilliman, the Primarch of the Ultramarines, ordered the breakdown of the Space Marine legions into chapters. Dorn thought that Guilliman was a coward for not being there during the defense of Terra. Guilliman, in turn, thought Dorn a rebel for refusing to accept the dictates of the new Codex Astartes. Neither would give in. Leman Russ of the Space Wolves and Vulcan of the Salamanders both sided with Dorn, as they did not want their legions divided, while Korax of the Raven Guard and Jagatai Khan of the White Scars sided with Guilliman. Again, a civil war threatened to split the Imperium. The Imperial Fists were persecuted for their so-called heresies and even fired upon by the Imperial Navy. When civil war seemed all but inevitable, Dorn finally relented and agreed to split his legion. The first successive chapters created from the Imperial Fists were the Crimson Fists and the Black Templars. Sigismund led the more zealous of the Imperial Fists with him and founded the Black Templars and became their first High Marshal, which is the Black Templars' equivalent of a chapter master. Sigismund swore an oath upon leaving Terra that he and his new chapter would prove their loyalty by never resting in his duties against the enemies of the Emperor. Sigismund spent much of this time remaining vigilant over the Cadian Gate, insisting that Horus's traitors would one day return to plague the Imperium. Despite the dismissals of many Imperial officials, Sigismund was proven right when Abaddon returned in the First Black Crusade. The Black Templar fleet was waiting, however, and a massive battle erupted that saw Sigismund slain by Abaddon himself. Since his death, every High Marshal has renewed Sigismund's oath of a never-ending crusade, and as such, the Black Templars' crusade has continued for over 10,000 years. The symbol of the Black Templars, a black cross, was a mark of the Imperial Fists' legions of veterans during the Horus heresy. After the end of the heresy and the creation of the Black Templars chapter, they honorably accepted this new symbol. In 998, Millennium 41, the Black Templars would briefly come to blows with the Dark Angels after the Templars refused to hand over a prisoner that the Dark Angels suspected to be Cypher, one of the Dark Angels considered a fallen or potential traitor of the Dark Angels. The incident is reported to the Adeptus Terra, also known as the Priesthood of Earth, and Inquisitor Archibald was assigned to lead the inquiry. During the events dubbed as the Age of the Dark Imperium, the Black Templars found themselves spread across the galaxy when the Great Rift opened. By the end of the Noctis Eterna, the event in which the light of the Astronomicon was blocked and astropathic communication rendered impossible, several crusades were discovered to have vanished altogether, while even those within the Imperium Sanctus found themselves scattered. Rather than using the reactivation of the Astronomicon as a reprieve to consolidate and recuperate, Black Templars instead undertook a vicious purge against the new wave of mutation and heresy within the Imperium Sanctus, left in the wake of the Noctis Eterna. Other Crusades redoubled their efforts against the enemies of mankind, and new chapter keeps were raised. It was during this time that Rabute Guilliman's torchbearer fleets discovered the Black Templars and delivered the Primaris Marines to them. Many thought that the fanatical Black Templars would reject the newcomers, and fearing conflict, Guilliman himself met with High Marshal Helbrecht aboard the Eternal Crusader, the Black Templars' flagship vessel. The High Marshal was in the midst of pursuing the Orc war boss, Gazkul, and was impatient to conduct diplomatic matters. In the ensuing meeting, Guilliman was surprised by the willingness of Helbrecht to recognize the value of the Primaris line. While Guilliman did not turn out to be the commanding despot that the High Marshal expected, Guilliman gave Helbrecht the choice of accepting Primaris Space Marines and reminded the High Marshal that he was responsible to the whole of mankind's realm, as opposed to his own personal vendetta with the Orcs. In the end, Helbrecht accepted the Primaris into his ranks and promoted a number of his own sword brethren to marshals in order to command new crusades made up of former Grey Shields, with Grey Shields being a classification of Primaris Space Marine that was created by Rabute Guilliman during the formation of the Indomitus Crusade. Helbrecht's acceptance of the Primaris Space Marines helped convince the various Crusade fleets to also incorporate these new warriors into their ranks. However, the incorporation of Primaris Marines did not go entirely smoothly for the chapter, as evidence of the infamous Angevin Crusade, wherein a marshal, several Primaris Marines, and a custodian were slain due to a mutiny that saw many of the Black Templars viewing the new Primaris arrivals as impure and heretical. There has been some talk that some Black Templars are especially resilient in crossing into the Rubicon Primaris, the process in which a regular Space Marine is turned into a Primaris Marine, and that this resilience must be a reward in their faith in the Emperor. However, this is unknown if this is verified fact or simply a rumor. Next, I will be discussing the Doctrines and Codex Adherence of the Black Templars. The Black Templars are among one of the rarer chapters that worship the Emperor of Mankind as a god and follow the Imperial Creed, as opposed to just following the Codex Astartes. By their doctrine, the Black Templars abhor the traitor, the alien, and the mutant. The last category includes psychers. However, Black Templars use psychers in non-combatant roles, such as astropaths and navigators. Black Templars view these beings with special reverence, as they see them as able to commune directly with the Emperor. The Black Templars are also one of the few chapters known to not utilize librarians, since the psychic catastrophe known as the Howling, an event in which an alien cyborg was killed, and its death resulted in the minds of billions of astropaths being wiped and burned away. The Black Templars place great emphasis on close combat prowess and honor. As such, they can often be seen charging into suicidal situations to avenge fallen comrades. Black Templar Marines also set themselves apart from the standard Codex doctrine by including neophytes into squads of fully initiated Marines. This is done to teach them the ways of battle and the art of combat. The Black Templars were the first chapter to find the design for the Land Raider Crusader, and were the first chapter to make use of it. The chapter redesign replaces the last cannons mounted on a standard Land Raider with hurricane pattern bolters, placing a greater emphasis on anti-infantry firepower and freeing up greater space within to carry larger squads. The Black Templars are also notorious for defying Codex doctrines that state a chapter may only number 1,000 battle brothers. This is partially due to the divided nature of the chapter, being spread out everywhere on separate crusades. usually consisting of several hundred battle brothers, and no one has thus been able to keep track of their exact numbers. However, it has been estimated that there may be several thousand Black Templars companies spread throughout the galaxy, an almost unstoppable force if gathered at one place, and cause for the Inquisition to keep a close eye on the Black Templars. Every Black Templar undertakes a series of vows that make up the chapter's very being. They are as follows: suffer not the unclean to live, uphold the honor of the Emperor, abhor the witch, destroy the witch, accept any challenge, no matter the odds. The combat doctrines of the Black Templars have continued in the style of their first High Marshal, preferring close combat over ranged warfare. This is further emphasized by the fanaticism of Black Templar initiates, whose righteous anger makes them impulsive and headstrong. When undertaking war, the Crusades will focus on two main tactics. The first is orbital assault, where the Crusades will use drop pods and Thunderhawks to perform a mass landing in the wake of a heavy orbital bombardment. If resistance is still strong after this, the Templars will land their heavy armor and launch an armored spearhead against the weakest link in the enemy's defensive line. Using Crusader pattern, Land Raiders, as mentioned before, as part of their dedication to the Emperor and their crusade, the Black Templars swear fell oaths of faith and protection. Before a battle, it is considered customary to renew one of these oaths, the particular vow serving as a focus on the particular aspect of their duties considered to be necessary to ensure success. The chapter's disposition is unlike that of regular Codex Astartes chapters. The Black Templars give mere lip service to Reputaculum's Codex Astartes, instead operating many roaming crusade fleets that battle the enemies of mankind across the galaxy. The exact size of the chapter is unknown, save only to the High Marshal himself. There is little doubt, however, that the Black Templars are far larger than a standard Codex chapter. These crusades, in turn, are typically broken down into fighting companies, which may number from a few dozen to a few hundred Space Marines, as well as their vehicles and support. I will now read out how the chapter's command structure is formatted. The High Marshal is at the top, and is the equivalent of a chapter master. He is responsible for monitoring the progress of all current crusades. Each crusade is led by a marshal, chosen amongst the Sword Brethren during ritual combat and confirmed by the High Marshal. Only once was this approval known to be withheld, during the Gerhardt repeal of M36. On especially momentous occasions, marshals may meet with a High Marshal aboard the Eternal Crusader to hold a chapter council. Below the marshals are the Castellans, who are the equivalent of lieutenants and regular Space Marine chapters. These figures are also charged with the rule of active chapter keeps and of occupied worlds. In addition to the general structure of the chapter, there exists a special rank, that of the Emperor's Champion. An Emperor's Champion is selected on the eve of a battle, just as Sigismund, the first Emperor's Champion and first High Marshal of the Black Templars, was. The Champion is an initiate who will have experienced a vision of the Emperor. When he reports this to the chaplains, they will anoint him and gift him with the finest weapons and armor available, known as the Black Sword and the Armor of Faith. These may vary from fighting company to fighting company. The personnel of the Black Templars is also unique to themselves. While the Black Templars employ standard Codex formations, such as intercessors, aggressors, and eliminators, they also utilize specialized non-Codex forces known collectively as Crusader Squads. Crusader Squads are made up of raw recruit neophytes, rank-and-file initiates, and elite sword brethren. These squads often form strong bonds, and it is not uncommon for Black Templars to remain in them. Even upon becoming veterans, initiates will sometimes spend decades or even centuries in their role. whereas Battle Brothers in conventional chapters tend to progress through the ranks steadily. However, the Black Templars see initiates as walking down their own path, and only themselves and the Emperor may determine how they wield their skills in the defense of mankind. However, as the years pass, most initiates develop new skills and specialties, often taking on more specialized roles such as Assault Marines, Incursors, Aggressors, and so on. Others choose to ride and pilot vehicles or don Invicta warsuits, which are lightly armored, piloted versions of the Redemptor Dreadnought frame. After especially notable victories or harrowing trials, initiates are often given battle honors, relics, and other such awards. Eventually, they will obtain the rank of veteran, which is bestowed independently by a chaplain or castellan, or even a fellow veteran. Veterans are excused of training of neophytes and will often be deployed in specialized veteran formations such as the Blade Guard, the Stern Guard, Terminators, Veteran Intercessors, and so on. There exists another elite rank within the Black Templars, that of Sword Brethren. These Marines serve under their marshal's household and are given such rank due to their exceptional deeds and status. Meanwhile, specialists such as chaplains, tech marines, and apothecaries are organized centrally and dispatched to various Crusade fleets as needed. Regarding the topic of Crusade fleets, unlike many other chapters, the Black Templars do not have a homeworld, eschewing the idea of one. They opt to live aboard their Crusade fleets. These vary in size and are made up of dozens of battle barges, strike cruisers, and other craft such as training vessels and large forged ships. Given this fleet-based nature, the Black Templars are rarely assembled as a chapter, but are instead divided into many crusades, with every crusade being responsible for its own recruiting, as well as training of its new neophytes. This flexible, mobile nature allows the Templars to continue on the first mission of their chapter, to actively seek out enemies of the Emperor and destroy them before moving onwards to find the next foe. The exact number of Crusade fleets active at any one time, as well as the size of the individual fleets, varies according to the chapter's needs and abilities. The exact size of Crusade fleets varies, with some numbering a handful of warriors, while others may even number in the thousands. However, the typical size of a Crusade fleet is between 50 and 300 warriors. The High Marshal himself has his own personal battle barge dubbed the Eternal Crusader, a large vessel that is the spiritual home of the entire chapter and contains its most sacred relics, chapels, and reliquaries. The Eternal Crusader has been expanded and refitted many times and can currently hold twice as many Space Marines as a normal battle barge. The Black Templars, to the surprise of few, has an easier time recruiting new initiates. Many Imperial citizens wish to become a Black Templar, so they hone their skills, which helps them later to enter the ranks of the Imperial Guard or Planetary Defense Forces, even if they are not chosen to be neophytes. Those who declare their intent to join the Black Templars are known as Expectitan, and have a long and dangerous journey to survive before they can become a simple neophyte. Known recruitment worlds of the Black Templars include Barbarossa 4, an agriculture world with a chapter citadel located in the northern wastes, Delarant, Thurgax, Killhaven, Lilia Mundi, Bagatius 3, and Solemnus. Chapter keeps also play a role in the recruitment. When a Crusade fleet conquers a world, the Black Templars often raise a chapter keep upon it to maintain their vigil. Though smaller than the fortress monastery of a Codex chapter, these are nonetheless formidable bastions that can house 200 to 300 Space Marines, as well as support personnel and servitors, though few rarely garrison numbers this large. As chapter keeps are often praised on worlds ravaged by war, they are usually home to a violent and brutal population and are seen as prime recruitment material. The following planets are known to host Black Templar keeps: the planets Cloister, Iphitus, and Stygia 12, a Forge World, and site of a chapter keep called Montgisard. Like other chapters discussed in previous Vox logs, the Black Templars have a set of elements unique to them. Notable vessels of the Black Templars include the Eternal Crusader, the Battle Barge and the flagship of the Black Templars, Abhorrence, a battle barge, temporarily the chapter's flagship while the Eternal Crusader was being refitted, and the Blade of the Seventh Sun, a straight cruiser, gifted to the Celestial Lions, a sibling chapter of the Black Templars, to aid in that chapter's rebuilding. Known named aircraft of the Black Templars include the Avenged, a Thunderhawk destroyed during the Hell's Reach Crusade, and the Bartisan, another Thunderhawk. Known vehicles of the Black Templars include the Hero of Kraina, a Sicarian battle tank. Notable members of the Black Templars include Sigismund, the first Emperor's champion and first High Marshal of the Black Templars, High Marshal Helbrecht, the current Black Templars leader, Ludolthus, a previous High Marshal, instigator of the Eternal Moritor Crusade, and the commander of the Vinculus and Jerulus Crusades, Bohemond, High Marshal during the War of the Beast, Sigurnatus, High Marshal of the Terran Crusade, also known as the Wars of Apostasy, Constantine, High Marshal during the Age of Redemption, Merrick Grimaldus, a Reclusiarch and veteran with a score of successful Black Templar Crusades, Emmerich Berengard, who became the first captain of the Imperial Fists, and Halbrand Aldrich, who became captain of the 8th Company of the Imperial Fists. And finally, though their list of crusades are worthy and notable, I will only be listing a select few. In the early stages of Millennium 31, the Great Purging, which was the Black Templars' first action as an independent chapter, in which they purged the Donatello system of Chaos holdouts. In 781, Millennium 31, the First Black Crusade, a massive Black Templars fleet under Sigismund himself defended the Cadian Gate against the first of Abaddon's incursions, though the Black Templars were ultimately defeated and Sigismund was slain in a duel with Abaddon. In 544, Millennium 32, the War of the Beast took place. During the conflict, the Black Templars contributed a portion of their strength to rebuild the Imperial Fists. In 401, Millennium 34, the Howling took place. In Millennium 36, the Wars of Apostasy, known as the Terran Crusade, took place. In 833, Millennium 41, the Vinculus Crusade took place, in which an Inquisitor, a detachment of Sisters of Battle of the Order of the Bloody Rose, engaged battle against the assassin cult of the Polaragon cluster. In 930, Millennium 41, the Battle of Schrodinger's 7 occurred, in which Necron forces assaulted the world. During this crusade, High Marshal Helbrecht engaged with battle with the Necron Pharaon, Imhotep the Stormlord of the Sautek dynasty. Though he fought valiantly, Helbrecht was defeated by Imhotep and his arm severed by Imhotep as a form of humiliation. At an unknown date in Millennium 41, the Ghoul Stars Crusade occurred. This was the first crusade undertaken by Helbrecht since becoming High Marshal of the Black Templars. This crusade consisted of fighting against the Xenos race who inhabited the Ghoul Stars, a desolate region of space located in the extreme northeast of the galaxy. Another crusade whose date is unknown except for that it took place in Millennium 41 is the Kotov Crusade. in which a squad of Black Templars took part in Lexel Kartov's expedition to discover the fate of the lost fleet of Veticus Telok. In 998 Millennium 41, the Third War for Armageddon occurred. Here, the Black Templars fielded 3 crusades. In addition, High Marshal Helbrecht was appointed commander of the combined Space Marine fleet that supported Battlefleet Armageddon against the Orcs' void skirmishes throughout the Armageddon system. The 3 crusades that took place during this include the Solemnus Crusade, the Battle of Golgotha, and more famously, the Hell's Reach Crusade, in which High Marshal Helbrecht tasked Reclusiarch Merrick Grimaldus with commanding 100 Marines in the defense of Hive Hell's Reach, in which Grimaldus was the only survivor. In 999 Millennium 41, the 13th Black Crusade took place. Black Templars contributed a crusade fleet to counter not only Chaos forces, but also the nearby Orc Green Crusade. During the same year, the Ultramar campaign, in which Marius Amalric emerges as the sole survivor of his crusade after taking part in the campaign that saw Rabute Gilliman revived. And in the current millennium of Millennium 42, the Black Templars take place in several crusades, such as the aforementioned Angevin Crusade, the War of Beasts, the Taladus War, the War in the Pariah Nexus, the Octarius War, the Arcs of Omen campaign, and the 4th Tyrannic War, including the Battle of Bastio. This concludes the information regarding the Black Templars. More in-depth information regarding them will be recorded at a later date. This is Librarian Elias, signing